Dr. Ricardo Boye is our guest today on the Bladder blog. He's a traditional naturopath and nutritionist. He's in the book. He's just a fountain of knowledge about nutrition and all kinds of neat stuff, and we are lucky enough to have a few minutes with him today. Dr. Boye, welcome.
Thank you very much, Gene.
Well, let's talk some nutrition.
Sure.
Okay. Would you please give us an overview of your field of expertise?
As a naturopath, we really deal with a wide variety of imbalances. We're not specialists because we feel that the body can ultimately heal itself. That's the tradition of naturopathy. The perspective and the philosophy is that given the right environment, given the right support, the body can work to heal itself and overcome disease. And so we work with a wide variety of conditions. We prefer to work more of in a preventative stance, and I think that's where we really offer a tremendous value to the public, is to assist them before they get ill, right? But still, most of our clients, most of our patients come in with some predetermined illness. So heart disease, diabetes, even certain cancers, such as yours. We look at it from a standpoint of nutrition and toxicity, but we'll get into that.
One of the areas that took me a while to understand is the area of muscle testing. It's something you do a lot to test your patients. Can you kind of give us an overview of that?
Yeah, muscle testing is a way of obtaining important information from the body utilizing a simple nerve to muscle connection. The perspective of muscle testing incorporates the energetic anatomy of the body, which is very different from the traditional perspective of the body just being chemistry. So we have to expand our awareness of the body to include energy principles, and this gets into the realm of physics. And that can be a little daunting for a lot of people, but the body is energy, ultimately. Beyond chemistry, the body is energy. And in the last 50 to 60 years, muscle testing has been developed as a tool to assess the energy body and determine certain nutritional deficiencies, states of toxicity, emotional distress, etc. So it's a very simple procedure once you learn it, how to perform it, and you can gain vital information that you wouldn't otherwise be able to obtain from a simple blood test. Yeah.
The stats are that 90% of people who get bladder cancer have smoked. Can nutrition work to reverse the cancer?
That's a very good question, and really we have to take this on an individual basis. Still, the nuts and bolts of cancer is still being worked out. We haven't solved the problem with it. We do understand that, of course, there are environmental impacts to cancer, and that's where we step in. As we said before, prevention is a lot easier because once you have cancer, you have cells that have mutated. You have cells with a different genetic expression. And so, we're working right now to see just how much nutrition can turn that around. It's a player. I've seen it work in some cases as an adjunct. In other cases, it hasn't been effective. So on a case-by-case basis, it has to be seen at this point.
Not everyone who smokes gets bladder cancer. Is that a function of nutrition or is that a function of heredity?
Nature versus nurture, the old debate as to what is the dominant influence in the progression of disease. I think Dr. Francis Collins said it right. He's the current head of the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, and he was the past director of the Human Genome Project. And he said, while genes may load the gun, environment pulls the trigger. So we come into a situation already predetermined. For instance, I have diabetes genes in my genetic makeup. My grandfather on my dad's side died of complications of diabetes. My father has full-blown diabetes. Yet I don't express it because I choose to live in a way that do not cause those genes to express themselves. So I'm not eating a high caloric diet. I'm concerned about exercising daily. I use nutrition and supplements to help with any deficiencies that my genetics may bring forth. So I think they both work together, and I think they both need to be ideally understood on an individual basis. That's why we can't have kind of industrialized medicine where it's one size fits all. We need to look at a person, study them individually, and then develop individualized, customized protocols based on that.
How can someone who's worried about bladder cancer or any other cancer protect themselves nutritionally? Can you give us recommendations for diet and lifestyle?
And luckily, there is good research here to start from. But I think one of the biggest things in one's diet is to avoid excess omega-6 oils, omega-6 fatty acids. That's one recommendation I give to everybody that comes into my office, regardless what condition they have, or even if it's just prevention.
In human terms, that means
yes,
what?
That's right.
What
so
is
I was getting to that. That's right, omega-6.
What is that?
That's right. You don't find it in a bottle, but those are your liquid vegetable oils, your seed oils. So basically, you should assume anytime you go into a restaurant and you order a salad, something healthy, and they bring a vinaigrette, if it's not olive oil, it's going to be some kind of corn oil or soybean oil or some other seed oil that has been industrialized. And those tend to promote changes in the body. The way the body's cellular makeup is, the cell membranes, and just the structure of the tissues are altered by this excess omega-6 oil. They're balanced out by healthy omega-3 oils, the kind of oils that you hear about like in walnuts or in cold water fish, or in animals, in red meat proteins that have been pasture raised, right, that have been fed a grass-fed diet instead of a grain-based diet. Remember, animals, cows in the wild, they eat grass, right? They are ruminants. They're not designed to eat grains. And so that changes the whole makeup of the food that we eat. If we're consuming plants, we're consuming animals, we have to look at their diet. So the omega-6 is the critical factor I would say everybody needs to avoid, and then increase your intake of omega-3s, and then also moderate your intake of healthy saturated fats like butter and coconut oil. Those have been much maligned in the past, but they are actually quite helpful for us in many ways.
So you can go to the movies and have buttered popcorn?
Well, if they serve you butter. But unfortunately, what they serve right now, in fact, they used to serve a version of coconut oil, but because it's saturated, there was a big old scandal that they thought that saturated fat leads to heart disease. And studies show that the whole saturated fat heart disease is a hypothesis that has not proven to be true. But in the movie theaters, back to your question, right now, most likely it's going to be a mix of soybean oil and corn oil. Those are subsidized crops, so you better believe they're going to be found everywhere. They're cheap, so if you're a restaurant owner looking to maximize profits, you're not going to really choose a higher-end oil because, first of all, you probably don't know and are aware of the negative effects of it. And secondly, you've got to stay in business. That's the way things work.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, there's more to the nutritional question, but you mentioned one, so.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Yes.
Here's a question I always like to put healthcare professionals on the hot seat. If you were diagnosed with bladder cancer, how would you proceed?
I tend to see myself as more of an integrative specialist, right? That's my philosophy. And integrative medicine is a type of medicine that seeks to utilize the best of what different disciplines and philosophies have to offer. So with naturopathic medicine, we're more in the alternative side of medicine. With traditional medicine, we're more in the conventional side. But the two can interact, right? We don't have to exclude one for the other. My personal view is let's use the best of what's available. So I would definitely pursue with conventional testing and seeing what kind of cancer we have. Let's look at the genetic makeup of the cancer if we know anything about it. Let's get information. Let's put it all on the table. And let's do the same with these nutritional naturopathic therapies, and then customize a program for that patient according to the best knowledge that we have available.
How about a few last little pearls of wisdom as far as nutrition?
To simplify matters, of course, I think as we age, it is safe. It is a safe bet to have more and more of a plant-based diet. And the reason I mention are manyfold. One, our caloric needs decline as we age, unless we're able to compensate above and beyond that by exercising vigorously and living a very physically active lifestyle. But for the average person who is aging, that becomes less and less of a reality. So plant-based foods offer a lower caloric source of food for people. Secondly, they tend to contain less amount of toxin, and they are the most nutrient-dense foods that we know of, some of the most nutrient-dense foods that we know of. There's a wide range of vitamins and minerals and also antioxidants that you get from the vegetable kingdom, also from fruits that are, just have different colors. The colors in the vegetables and fruits should orient us to having the variety there. And then modest amounts of protein, obviously limiting the amount of sugars and excess fats and alcohol. And that it's a reasonable approach. It's one that's been espoused by many medical doctors that work with anti-aging and disease prevention.
So a cow a week.
Maybe a cow a year.
A cow a year. Oh, okay. That changes things.
That's right.
All right. About the book. You're a major contributor to the book. What do you think of the book, and would you recommend it to your patients?
Well, I certainly would recommend it, and really because I think you've done a phenomenal job at displaying the information present there in the book in a balanced way. You've culled together many points of view. You interview many specialists, many doctors from different disciplines, and you don't see that very often today in a way that's unbiased. It seems like what you wanted to do with the book is just present information, put it out there for the public so that they can see that they themselves have options, right? It's not just the traditional medical point of view that is there, but there's also the naturopathic. For those people that are out there that are just more into the holistic model, they can see how, look, both of them can work together. And that's where I think we're going to be the strongest in the years to come in our healthcare industry. And you've done a great job, so I would certainly recommend it for everyone, just for a balanced point of view.
Obviously, in a video such as this, we can only do a little piece of the information from Dr. Boye or anybody that we interview. I would recommend that you buy the book, and even better, you locate Dr. Boye and book some time with him. The information that he has is unbelievable. You'll find out huge things from nutrition. We recommend him highly, and we thank him very much for his participation in our book.
Absolutely. I'd be just happy to be of any help there.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Jane.